It was a crisp, serene morning when Alex stepped outside, coffee in hand, ready to embrace the day. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the quiet suburban neighborhood. The air was fresh, the birds were chirping, and everything seemed perfect, until his foot landed in something soft, squishy, and unmistakably foul. He froze mid-step, his brain processing the horror before his nose confirmed it. Dog poop. Not just any dog poop, fresh, warm, and right in the middle of his perfectly manicured lawn. Alex's stomach twisted with disgust as he shook his foot violently, but the damage was done. His once pristine sneaker was now an unfortunate casualty in what was about to become the pettiest war the neighborhood had ever seen. This wasn't the first time. Over the past week, Alex had noticed random, smelly landmines popping up in different spots on his lawn. At first, he chalked it up to bad luck, a wandering stray, or maybe a careless owner passing by. But the sheer consistency was too deliberate, too perfectly placed. This wasn't an accident. Someone was targeting him. Alex clenched his jaw and scanned the street. The neighborhood was quiet, with houses lined up in a picture-perfect suburban row. Driveways were empty as people rushed off to work. No witnesses, no clues, just another pile of evidence on his lawn. He needed proof, and he had a strong suspicion about who was behind it. The next morning, Alex set up his doorbell camera, aiming it strategically toward the front yard to ensure it captured every inch of potential crime scene territory. Then he waited. Another day passed, then another, and then, like clockwork, the next pile appeared. Heart pounding with anticipation, Alex rushed inside, opened the camera footage, and there she was, Linda. Not just any Linda, the neighbor from 2 doors down. The one with the blindingly blonde highlights, the oversized sunglasses that made her look like an overgrown mosquito, and the perpetual scowl of someone who thought the world owed her something. And her dog, some small, fluffy, yappy thing, was the culprit. But the worst part? The part that made Alex's blood boil. She watched. She stood there, let her dog do its business, glanced around as if checking for an audience, and then walked away like nothing had happened. Alex stared at the footage in disbelief. She knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't just laziness, it was deliberate. He could feel his hands tighten into fists as he replayed the video, watching her smug little stroll back to her house. He wasn't the kind of person to let things slide. This wasn't just about poop anymore. This was about principle. That afternoon, Alex marched straight over to her house. He didn't bother knocking politely. Instead, he gave 3 sharp raps on her door, enough to let her know he meant business. She answered within seconds, peering at him through her ridiculous oversized sunglasses, her lips pursed in an expression that immediately irritated him. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone dripping with condescension. Alex took a deep breath, trying to keep his cool. "Yeah, actually you can. Your dog has been using my lawn as a bathroom for the past week. I caught it on camera. You need to start cleaning up after it." Linda tilted her head, her expression shifting into something between amusement and mild annoyance. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "It's just a little dog. A little mess. Nature, you know. Relax." Alex's eye twitched. Relax? Did she just tell him to relax about stepping in her dog's poop every morning? No, it's not just a little mess. It's disgusting. It's rude. And it's happening every single day. I have the footage. Do you want to see it? Linda crossed her arms, sighing dramatically. "Oh, come on, Alex. It's grass. What's the big deal? It'll decompose. Think of it as free fertilizer." His patience was hanging by a thread. "I don't need free fertilizer. I need you to be a responsible pet owner." Linda gave an exaggerated shrug. "Well, I can't control where my dog goes. Besides, it's not like I'm doing it on purpose." Alex clenched his teeth, staring at her. She was absolutely doing it on purpose. She just didn't think there would be consequences. He exhaled through his nose, forcing himself to remain calm. "Fine. If it happens again, I'll make sure it gets taken care of." Linda smirked. "Whatever makes you feel better." And with that, she shut the door in his face. The next morning, the poop was back. But this time, it wasn't just randomly placed. It was positioned right on the edge of his driveway, as if she had purposefully let her dog squat as close as possible to his property line just to make a point. Alex stared at it, his eye twitching. She wanted a reaction. She was taunting him. Fine. She wanted a war? She was about to get one. He walked back inside, grabbed a plastic bag, and carefully scooped up every last offensive piece of evidence. He didn't just collect today's poop. No, he went back, revisiting the previous spots, making sure he had a full week's worth of Linda's disrespect bagged and ready. And then, with a smirk creeping onto his face, he got an idea. A brilliant idea. He grabbed a second bag, and then a third. He was going to return what was rightfully hers. That evening, under the cover of darkness, Alex tiptoed toward Linda's front yard, carrying his carefully curated collection of doggy deposits. He took his time, ensuring every last piece was placed strategically, right on her front porch, a little near the doormat, a little around the pathway leading to her driveway. A perfectly crafted landmine obstacle course. As a final touch, he took his last handful and carefully wrote out a little message on the pavement. Clean up after your dog. Then, grinning ear to ear, he returned home and waited. Morning came. Alex brewed his coffee, stepped outside, and leaned against his car, pretending to check his phone as he waited for the show to begin. Then it happened. Linda stepped outside, still in her robe, a fancy-looking coffee mug in hand. She took 2 steps, and then squelch. Her scream echoed through the entire neighborhood. Oh my God! What the? She looked down, horrified, realizing she was completely surrounded by the thing she had been so casually leaving on Alex's lawn. She lifted her foot, shaking it violently, hopping on one leg as if that would somehow erase the damage. Alex took a sip of his coffee, watching with immense satisfaction. She turned her head sharply, her eyes locking onto him. She knew. Alex raised his cup in a mock toast. Good morning, Linda. She was already marching toward him, fury in her eyes. Did you do this? Alex smiled. What makes you think it was me? It's just nature, you know. Free fertilizer. Her face turned an unnatural shade of red. You think this is funny? He shrugged. I think it's ironic. Linda fumed, glancing down at her soiled porch, her ruined slippers, the absolute mess she now had to deal with. She gritted her teeth, pointing a manicured finger at him. You're going to regret this. Alex just grinned. We'll see. As she stormed back into her house, Alex leaned back against his car. The war had officially begun, and he was just getting started. Over the next few days, the battle escalated. Linda retaliated by letting her dog do its business on Alex's lawn again, this time in broad daylight, as if daring him to do something about it. But Alex was ready. He had recruited his best friend, Chris, to help him execute the next phase of his revenge. Chris was the kind of guy who thrived on chaos. The moment Alex told him the story, his eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas. Dude, you have to escalate, Chris said, grinning as they sat in Alex's garage, strategizing like they were planning a heist. I don't want to do anything illegal, Alex said. I just want to make her regret ever messing with me. Chris nodded, thinking, what if we make the problem bigger than just you? What if we turn the whole neighborhood against her? That got Alex's attention. Go on. Chris leaned in. Linda's been a nightmare to more than just you, right? What if we gather some allies? Alex grinned. That was a fantastic idea. Over the next few days, he started talking to the other neighbors. It turned out Linda had been annoying people for years. She had reported kids for riding their bikes too fast, complained about people parking too close to her curb, and even tried to get someone fined for having an unsightly mailbox. Nobody liked her, and when Alex told them about the poop war, they were more than willing to help. The plan was simple. Every time Linda's dog left a gift on someone's lawn, they would collect it, and, instead of just returning it to her property, they would take it to a single designated spot, her driveway. The execution was flawless. Over the course of a week, more and more poop began to mysteriously accumulate right in front of her house. At first, she thought it was Alex, and she yelled at him from across the street. But soon, she realized it wasn't just him. She saw other neighbors smirking when they passed by. She saw kids giggling when they rode their bikes near her house. The entire neighborhood was in on it. By the end of the week, Linda was fuming. She stood in her yard, hands on her hips, looking around wildly like she was trying to catch someone in the act. But nobody was going to confess. That night, she did the only thing she could do. She grabbed a shovel and started cleaning it up herself. Alex watched from his window, sipping a beer with the biggest grin on his face. Chris texted him, "Mission accomplished." Alex replied, "Oh, it's just getting started." The final blow came when Linda's husband, who had been mostly absent from the entire war, was caught on camera letting their dog do its business on Alex's lawn. Alex wasted no time. He sent the footage directly to the HOA group chat with a simple caption, "Guess it runs in the family." Within minutes, his phone exploded with messages. The neighborhood had turned against Linda completely. Even the HOA president, a stiff-looking man named Richard, had had enough. "I'll handle it," he texted Alex. By the next day, Linda's smug attitude had completely vanished. She didn't come outside to cause trouble. She didn't let her dog wander onto Alex's lawn. Instead, she was furious, but not at Alex. She was fighting with her own husband in the driveway. Alex happened to be watering his plants when he overheard bits and pieces of the argument. "You got caught, you idiot," Linda hissed. "You told me to do it," her husband shot back. Not in front of his cameras. Alex chuckled and turned up the hose pressure, pretending not to listen. An hour later, a letter from the HOA was taped to Linda's door. She ripped it off, scanned it quickly, then crumpled it up with a dramatic groan before storming inside. That same evening, Alex received a text from Richard. She's been fined $500 for repeated violations, and a formal complaint has been placed on her HOA record. She's on probation now. If she does it again, it could escalate to legal action. Alex smirked as he read the message. That was exactly the kind of justice he had been hoping for. He knew Linda had probably thrown a tantrum inside her house, but there was nothing she could do. She had played the game and lost badly. The following week, something incredible happened. Alex walked outside one morning and noticed something unusual. His lawn was spotless. Not a single pile of dog poop anywhere. No new messes, no unpleasant surprises. He checked his camera footage just to be sure, and sure enough, the video showed Linda picking up after her dog for the very first time. He almost couldn't believe it. The war was officially over. The best part? The neighbors had never been closer. Chris came over that weekend for a barbecue, and nearly half the neighborhood showed up. It was as if Linda's downfall had brought everyone together. People swapped stories about all the nonsense she had pulled over the years. They laughed, grilled burgers, and for the first time in a long time, everyone actually enjoyed their community. Linda, on the other hand, stayed locked inside her house. Chris leaned over to Alex, whispering, "Think she's plotting her next move?" Alex shook his head, grinning. "Nah, she knows she lost. She's not dumb enough to try again." But deep down, Alex knew that Linda was still Linda. And just to be safe, he kept his security cameras running.